Hello and welcome once again to Red Gaming Tech. My name is Amata and of course I'm here once again to give you your daily dose of the latest gaming news. Today is of course still the 30th of September and this time I have some news for you from Guerilla Games, who of course are the developer behind the upcoming Killzone Shadowfall, and they have officially confirmed when speaking to Eurogamer that members of the team have moved on to a new IP already. Now this came from lead designer Eric Boltes, and he said that the team wanted to branch out into new types of games and work on that had already started. And he said, quote, "I can be true about it, yes. That's definitely what's happening right now. I can't tell you what we're thinking of, but yes. As a studio, we do want to branch out and we have started work on a new IP. Something completely different to Killzone. I don't want to see anything about it right now, but as a studio we do want to keep it fresh." Now of course Shadowfall is actually out in November, so Guerilla's design team has shifted focus to a new project, and Boltes did touch on this a little bit, and I'm sure most of us already know this as we're probably fairly familiar with at least this part of the development process. And he did say, quote, "Usually what happens is at the end of the game people will start to roll off. The artists and the coders work the longest and then QA. But the designers, at some point their work is done. They're not allowed to touch the game because that changes everything for all other departments. So about 3 months before you ship, the designers sit down and think, what can we do for the next one?" That happened with Killzone 3 to Shadowfall as well. So about 3 years ago we went into that phase. The really tricky part about that phase is trying not to do too much. You have a room full of people and they all have a different idea of what they want to change about the game. They can't do everything, especially if you only have 2.5 years to build it. So it's streamlining that process of what we want to do to this is that what we're actually going to do. That's the tricky part. And unfortunately he did not part with any information regarding what game this could be, but I'd like to hear your thoughts. It could literally be anything. We can probably safely assume that it's not going to be a first-person shooter of any description. It may be a third-person shooter, but he did say the words something completely different, so that leads me to believe that it's probably not going to be that, or if it is a third-person game, which is obviously quite likely to be if it's not going to be a first-person shooter, then it may not be a shooter exactly, but maybe something with shooting mechanics, like maybe a stealth-focused game, or I don't know, an RPG or something like that. It literally could be anything and everything. They've said they want to move away from something like Killzone Shadowfall. So what would you like to see? Well, I don't know. An RPG would actually be pretty damn cool, but that's because I just want to see more RPGs come out. And of course, usually the good RPGs are either the big budget Western releases such as Skyrim or the big JRPG releases. So it'd be nice to see an RPG with a different twist to it from a company that of course have had a different resume up until this point. Now I would say that it's a pretty safe bet that they'll stick with some sort of shooting mechanic because that's what they're familiar with, but they have said that they want to do something different, so my wish is for an RPG. Could be sci-fi, could be fantasy, could be sci-fi fantasy. Do whatever you want. I think it could be very, very interesting. So what would you guys like to see from them? Any suggestions, no matter how much outlandish, can be put out there, but I'd say just take into consideration who we're talking about, the company, what they've worked on, and all that good stuff. And, you know, just curious to hear your thoughts. Anyway, that is me done with this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.